Okay, so Richard Munk, Funky Munky Stable, thank you. You've been very patient. You've been waiting for a little bit here. Obviously, you've heard some of the discussion. We have some really energetic discussion here and some real questions here. So if you could just give us I'll ask you the same question. What is the basic framework of your partnership?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much, Christina, for letting me have this opportunity to come on and talk to your group and explain what we do. And also, it's been very entertaining hearing from the other partnerships. I'll be honest, I'm in the business because I want people to join and get into the horse racing ownership. And I think that partnerships is the way it has to go if horse racing is going to exist and survive. We really need people to get in and to spend a little money and get a little piece of the horse, because it's so expensive to keep a horse for a year with the vet bills, the training bills. You're talking about spending $50,000 a year for a horse. A horse has to earn $70,000 a year just to pay for the expenses. So looking at it like that, you've got to realize that you can't even get into this business and do it as a money investment. You really need to be doing it to have the time of your life. So anyone who wants to get into a partnership, really the impetus better be that you want to have a great time. Don't do it as a money investment. And I repeat, do not do it as a money investment, because it's a poor investment. And yes, Saratoga Stable has had a couple of humdingers, as we all know, but even Jack knows that that's not the norm. So don't get into this business to make a profit. If you make a profit, more power to you, but don't do it for that reason. What we do at Funky Munky Stable is we're kind of unique in that we sell thoroughbred and harness racing partnerships. We do both. We like the best of both worlds. Of course, I'm married to an ex-harness trainer driver. Maybe that has something to do with it, but actually I grew up going to Yonkers Raceway and Roosevelt Raceway, because those are the tracks when you were growing up. You couldn't go during the daytime. You had to go to school, so you could go to the racetrack at night. So everyone starts with the harness and then continues over to the thoroughbred side. So we do both of them. And our partnerships, we started a minimum of $1,000 you could get in to one of our partnerships. And we have, the way our model is, we capitalize it at $60,000. So when you buy into the partnership, there's going to be about 38, 40, 42 people that usually get into each of our partnerships. And the $1,000 unit gets you 1.665%. So when you pay $1,000 to start, you're getting the percentage and you're getting a few months of training expenses included into that. So that's how we kind of operate. As far as a few points of interest that we do, expenses and check disbursements, the way it works for Funky Munky Stable is as follows. We do everything on a 3-month basis. We look at how much money is in the bank account when the quarter ends, and if there's no money in the bank account, we're going to need a full cash call of about $12,000, $13,000. So in a worst case scenario, a partner has a $1,000, 1.665% interest. They're going to pay $200, a little over $200 for the next 3 months. And that's as a worst case scenario. On the other hand, if the horse had a really good last quarter, wins a race, comes into money a few times, and there's $35,000 in the bank account, I'll probably send out $20,000 to the partners and keep $15,000 for the next quarter. So either I'll pay you some money, you pay me some money, and no one has to pay anyone any money. Basically, that's how it works with the expenses and the check disbursements. Mm-hmm. Now, with licensing, something you should know. The New York State Gaming Commission has the rule that if there's at least 35 people that own a horse, no one has to get licensed except for the people that own at least 3% of the horse. So if someone has to get licensed, first of all, it costs approximately the first year $225 to be licensed. The renewal after that is $50 a year. I will come to the track with you, make sure the forms are all filled out correctly, everything goes smoothly. It takes about a half an hour, and you walk away with a license after that. So the license is good to have as far as perks go. By the way, a few things. First of all, at Aqueduct, Belmont, and Saratoga, you get free admittance. You get admittance into the paddock, watch your horse get saddled, meet the jockey, meet the trainer. You have access to the backstretch area, to the barn. You could see your horse in the stall up close. You could watch the horses work out. It's a nice morning. It's very entertaining, especially at Saratoga. Everybody loves to go to the backstretch at Saratoga. Another thing is you get to park in the owner's parking lot, the horseman's parking lot. So especially at Saratoga where it's a bitch to park, that's a nice perk to have. So that's what I got to say about the licensing. Now, communication with Funky Munky Stable, we put you on the Funky Munky Stable email list, and whenever a horse, thoroughbred, or harness gets entered into a race, you'll get a notification from me 3 days early, 4 days early, with all the particulars in the race. And we also, I write a report that night or the next day about the race and my take on our race. So everybody likes my reports.
So who are some, Richard, can you just tell us a couple, I have two questions right off the bat. First of all, where are you predominantly, do you get the horses from claiming? Do you claim them? Do you purchase them at sales? And number two, trainers. Who are some of the trainers that you use?
Okay, number two, our thoroughbred trainer is David Dunk. We race primarily in Aqueduct, Belmont, and Saratoga, the New York market. I try to get New York breds. We do claiming partnerships and yearling partnerships. The claiming game, I love the claiming game, but you know, not everybody wants to have a claim. You know, a lot of people want to get a horse that we could develop as a yearling and watch it grow, and we've had success on both ends. We have won 4 stakes races. A few of them with the claimers. We actually won the Maryland Million with a horse that we claimed for $30,000. A horse named Jack on the Rocks. Won a stakes race down in Delaware Park, and a couple in Aqueduct. Did you have another question?
No, it was trainer. I said trainer, and also where you get the horses, if you claim them or you buy them. But do you buy any? Does Funky Munky buy any of them at the sales, or purely claiming?
Lately, we've enjoyed. I have a bloodstock agent that goes out to Kentucky. We like to go to the Keeneland sale and Isaac Tipton sale in September and October out in Kentucky. Saratoga, I don't know, that's prices seem to have been jumping up in Saratoga, so I try to avoid Saratoga if I can. But we do like the New York bred game. I always when I look for yearlings, I'm always looking for New York breds. In the claiming game, I'll take whatever horse is good. Whether it's an open company horse or a New York bred doesn't matter to me. But the yearlings, I try to focus on yearlings.
Okay, so your model is a little bit more like you could watch the horses. It would be something that, you know, you'll buy as a yearling. We could watch them develop into 2-year-olds and then also and on. So you're something that you could watch, not necessarily just specifically claiming horses.
Right. I also, when we buy the horse as a yearling, I usually have the partners have a contest to name the horse, and then the goal is to try to have the horse race as a 2-year-old up at Saratoga. Most of the time that has worked. There has been an instance, we have a horse, Candy Monet, actually won October 30th. It didn't start until she was a 3-year-old. That was the first time that happened, but the goal is always to try to get the horse to race as a 2-year-old in Saratoga.
Does anybody have a question for Richard? I don't see what, if you guys have a question, just let me know. Richard, I'm fascinated by the fact that you also have harness horses, because actually you mentioned about starting with the harness horses. I lived in Montreal, and we didn't have a thoroughbred track at the time when I lived in Montreal. So I was going to Blue Bonnets, which was the harness track at the time. They changed names after that, and they since have closed, but I got my start with the harness horses. I was watching harness racing. Tell us a little bit the difference, because I remember going, as you pointed out, nighttime was when we'd go and watch the harness horses. They run week after week after week. Like it's not the same model at all as thoroughbreds, just for everybody who has an interest in that.
Well, the big difference is the amount of races that they race. Thoroughbreds tend to race between 6 and 15 times a year. Harness horses race usually between 20 and 40 times a year. So if you're looking for action, harness is the thing. That's the biggest thing that I could say about the harness action. I live my wife in Middletown, New York. There's a training center, Mark Ford's training center, is where our horses get stabled and do their training, which is about 10 minutes from where I live, oddly enough. And it's just fascinating going to a harness track. It is so different. I mean, with all the equipment that harness horses wear, I mean, the public just doesn't know the other side of the story. All they see is, when they bet on the horses and watch the horse race, and you don't see what goes on to get these horses ready. It's just fascinating. I mean, we're a thoroughbred horse will go out in the morning and jog or gallop for a mile and a quarter. The harness horse will go around the track for like 5 miles. It's incredible.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it quite a lot. I actually was texting earlier with Mike Welsh from the Daily Racing Forum. He owns a bit of a harness horse, and he told me that she just won yesterday. We had gone to a race this summer at Saratoga. She was running, so it's exciting. It's a different feel, guys. Like, it's a different thing if you haven't experienced it. But I agree, it's a different thing. Does anybody else have a question for Richard before we? Richard,
something else.
Yeah, I was going to say, Richard, if you wanted to add anything else.
Yes, every year we have a party up at Saratoga that is free of charge to the partners. They can come alone or bring a guest. It's always at the Saratoga Harness Track and Fortune's Restaurant. And if you've never been out to Saratoga to Fortune's Restaurant, they have a fantastic buffet, and you get to watch harness racing. I usually get between 75 and 150 people come, and you meet other partners, and everybody has a great time. So everybody at Funky Munky Stable usually looks forward to that night. It's always on a Saturday night. So
okay,
that's something we do.
Okay. Now, did you have anything else you wanted to add, Richard?
No, that's it.
No. Okay. Well, we thank you very much for joining us and coming on today. And again, we'll let everybody know. We'll give everybody the information for all the partnerships. But thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.